Well, good Sunday afternoon, Freedom Nation. This is Sean Stewart, Senior Servant, Freedom Church here in Houston and in Dallas. It is my honor to share space with you on today. Listen, I want you to do me a favor while you're getting settled in for this great word, this witness, and worship. I want you to do me a favor. Would you please, 1, click like. Number 2, click share. Number 3, tag somebody. And number 4, let me know where you're watching from. 1, click like. 2, click share. 3, tag somebody. And 4, let me know where you're watching this broadcast from. We would love to connect with you. While you're getting settled, also know this. On September 25th, 2021, all roads lead to Houston, Texas. That's right, to Houston, Texas. We are excited about your arrival, and we are anticipating a high move of God during this service of Episcopal consecration and elevation of leaders within our church. Please be sure to go to the church's website at www.fchouston.org, and you can go there and click on Episcopal consecration, and you will find out the information for the hotel, what choral dress should look like, pastors and clergy members that will be participating in the processional. You are more than welcome to register. I'm asking that if you are participating in the processional, that you register so that we can account for your seat as we're building out our floor plan. Number 2, listen, I can't tell you how excited I am about the word that's getting ready to come your way. On today, we're going to walk back down memory lane just for a hot minute. Want to introduce you to one and present you to another. Our sister, our daughter, Elder Candace Moffitt, preached a sermon called You Decide. That's right, you decide. You get to decide. You decide what God's will is, how you will respond to it, how you internalize things. All of this is your decision. Listen, I want you to get your paper, get your pen, get your Bible, get your iPad, because if you have an Android, we're still praying your deliverance. Apples are apostolic. We believe in the use of those gifts. Amen. So we want to get you to the place where you can operate in a platform. I'm just kidding you all. Listen, I am. But you don't want to miss this word. Get in here, get settled. Click like, click share. Let us know what's going on with you. Tell us where you are. Tell us how we can be a part of your everyday freedom. If you're looking for a place to give, we would be more than happy to be a part of your financial freedom. We are always looking for financial investors and partners in ministry. Any level of giving, $5, $10, $15, $20, whatever the Lord lays on your heart, please go to the church website. There is a place for you to click donate now, and you are able to connect with PayPal and with Cash App. If you would like to do so at that time, you can also connect with us online if you need any further assistance with that. Listen, get in this room, get your Bible, get your pen, get your paper, get your tablet, and click like, click share, and tell us where you're watching this from, and get in here. Listen, let's have a conversation about You Decide. Ladies and gentlemen, please receive Elder Candace Moffitt.
All right. They done let me in here, so we just gonna pray that the Lord have his way. Yes. I'm fidgeting. It's been a long time. It's been a long time. But I am grateful. I am very, very grateful to Freedom Church Houston, Freedom Church Dallas for having me here today. And, I just want to say thank you. I can't lie. I was glad when he called me and said, won't you come? Will you pray, but won't you come? So I was glad about that. And as I stand here today, again, I just have to say thank you. I have to say thank you. I say thank you to it all. I am grateful for everything that got me to this moment. Oftentimes we tend to ignore the deposits that we have been given. We tend to ignore the call and the mantle that we have on our lives. And so today, as I step boldly out of exile, I just want to tell you, I came to exchange some energy with you on the matter of acceleration. We are talking about acceleration, and I just want to be clear in advance. This is a matter of soul business, not church business. I don't do church too well these days because I found that the church is what made me a monster. See, I was born of the church and into the church, and many of the lessons that I learned, we don't really talk about these days. How I learned how to not have accountability for my life, but only have accountability for my church life. And those are not always two separate things. And it's intentional today because many of us, I find, are sitting under the tutelage of those who shout holiness and scream wholeness into the pillows of secrecy. And so we just have to exchange some energy today on acceleration. And I won't be before you long today. I'm gonna just jump right on in. There's many interpretations for the word acceleration. We could go from Newton's second law of motion to relativity and common sense, which was written in the 80s, to the principles of mechanics written in 2008, or to one of my personal favorites, the fabric of the cosmos, space, time, and the texture of reality, written by Green, who I think we just happen to be cousins. We could talk about all of those things. And no matter where you decide to draw your understanding of what acceleration is and how acceleration works, there is one constant that remains the same. A decision has to be made. A decision has to be made. So here we go. Acceleration, by definition, by layman's definition, by plain definition, by IEP definition, acceleration is the name that is given to any process where change happens in a vehicle. Specifically so where the velocity and the tempo, the celerity of a thing changes. That is acceleration. And because velocity, or the momentum, your actions, is directly attached to one, speed, and two, direction, the only way that you can accelerate is to change your speed, change your direction, or change both. Either way, a decision has to be made. And we are clear that if you are not changing your speed, if you are not changing your direction, and if you are not doing both, then you cannot be accelerating, because you have not made the decision to do so. And it's real simple. We could take it to a walk in the park. Why do we walk in the park? There's a reason behind that. We want to clear our minds. We want to get some exercise. We want to people watch and see what legs we see at the basketball court. Either way you want to look at it, you made a decision to go to the park. You had to decide how you were going to get to the park. Were you going to walk over to the park and then walk? Were you going to drive to the park where you know the best legs? Where you know that they are? Either way, you had to decide how you were going to get there. And then you had to decide at what speed you were going to participate in your walking and or watching. Were you going to look, or were you going to sneak a peek? You had to make a decision on what you were going to do. So it comes down to the simple fact that a decision has to be made. You decide what route you are going to take when you go to work. You decide if you are going to take the back streets or if you're going to be illegal and get on the toll knowing you don't got a toll tag. Either way, you made a decision on what you were going to do. You made a decision, and that decision allows you to plan the appropriate course of action, again, thus making a decision. When you decide you want to go on a trip, because we like to travel. We traveling people around here. You go and you look and see what hotel can I stay in for the best rate, because we know that you want the most bang for your buck, a decision, You know that you have to figure out the airfare. Are you going to drive? If you like me, more than 3 hours and 22 minutes in the car and you're done. So I'm always booking a flight. We fly around here. But by nook or by crook, by train or by plane, you make a decision on how you are going to go. So to recap, before I just proceed any further, because I'm a teacher by trade, this is my chosen profession. I teach the children. So I have to go back and recap to make sure I didn't lose none of my babies. I got to make sure we all together. Acceleration is the process that happens when change is decided upon in a vehicle. You are the vehicle. Your mind is the process, and your actions are the change. So that takes me to a text, because see, I'm from the Ratchetville, where we don't really use the Bible to prove a point all the time because of what we are accustomed to and some of the damages that have been done with the Bible. But I just happen to like Solomon and his mind and Proverbs. And so I'm taking us to the life section, Proverbs 23 and 7. And I'm using the ISV version. And it reads, for as he thinks within himself, so he is. And I'll just say that again. For as he, you, man, humans, spirit, mediums, because I understand everybody don't believe that God is God, but there are spiritual mediums and so forth, and I'm for it all. That whole thing is the vehicle, no matter how you look at it, the vehicle whatever that vehicle thinks within himself, herself for my politically correct people, then it is so. Then it is so. And so is important in this text. Again, I teach English. I probably should have told y'all that. I'm sorry. So in its adverb form means to the same extent. So then if we go back to the word, for as you think, so to the same extent are you, is he. It's the same thing. In its conjunction form. So in its conjunction form, it is therefore or the same as. So again, if we go back to it, it says, whatever you think, so therefore, that's what you are. I'm gonna help us today because they tell me I'm holy, but I ain't that saved. I love the Lord, but I ain't that saved. So I'm gonna help us. When you think you fine, you go look in the mirror, you fine, right? When you turn around and you do that new TikTok, ooh, I think when you think that, that's what it is, right? And I understand it. The mind is the most powerful weapon in the world. And oftentimes we are so castrated, we are so removed from our seed producing capabilities that we forget to simply look in the mirror and acknowledge the power that is already in you. You came here powerful. You came here full and lacking nothing. And through experience, through our childhood experiences, through the things that have come to cause us physical pain, we have allowed that pain to put us in a corner and cause us to freeze and be still. And so it creates a conundrum in our minds that double-sidedness starts to breed and starts to grow, because on one hand, we know that we are complete, but on the other hand, somewhere along the way, something has told us that we were less than. Something has caused us to question our being and our fullness, our wholeness, our soul, and it has made us really believe what they had to say about us. So then the question becomes, who will you believe? Who will you believe? And it's not very often that we get told to go with the truth that you know to be true. Inherently, you are good. You made a bad decision. So what? Let the redeemed of the Lord say, so. If we needed some contextualism to go there to help us understand that everything we read in this Bible, it tells us, so let it be. So then again, it comes back oftentimes again, those things that we do not allow ourselves to feel, those experiences that we have come through, it tends to throw us, catapult some of us, drag by the hair the rest of us into the glass half full, half empty mentality. And at that point, when we stay in that vein, we miss it altogether. The glass is not half empty or half full. The glass is refillable. So what does that look like? What does that look like? Because oftentimes, again, our thoughts are powerful. They can harm us or they can do us good. If I take us back a couple of chapters in that same book to 18:1, death and life are in the power of the tongue. Now, y'all listen to Cardi B, and she out here telling people, if you got a beard, I want to wet it. You better get in the mirror and tell yourself, if I want to win, I got to go get it. That was just what I had felt in my spirit. But I'm just saying, our words, they do us harm or they do us good. And all too often, we refuse to honor that sacred space of our discomfort, and we allow ourselves to become bosom buddies with the coddling nature of comfort, of ease, of quickness. We live in an age of microwave availability. When you want something quick to eat, you take it out, you pop it in the microwave. My big mama didn't use no microwave. Even when I bought her one, baby, put that in the toaster oven. I needed to come up the heat at a different rate than that microwave. I don't trust it. It was too quick. And quick feels good until it doesn't. So then I'm going to take us back. We cleave to scriptures that match our stupidity instead of enabling our ability to study the ones that affirm our strength. We go and we pick parts of scripture and we pick just the one sentence or the two sentences that make us feel good about our current circumstances and our current conditions, or we abandon scripture altogether and rebuff what the ancestors, God, has already given us. We rebuff that relationship that it was already existent in us because it no longer feels good. It's no longer easy. The work that is required has now become seemingly too much. But why? Because somebody, somewhere, something told us that that was so. So we adopted that mentality. So we let that be our new truth. So we put on that persona. So we put on that image. My kids taught me what it means to put on for the gram.
Tell us.
But you can't cap when you're capable. Huh? Okay. Well, we overthink the process, which prevents progress, thus killing happiness and sowing subconscious seeds of discord because we can't blame somebody else for what we have ruined ourselves. I'm going to help us. We get in relationships, they don't work out. We tend to have pity parties. I failed. I'm a failure. This don't work. No, you are not a failure. You failed to do some things in that relationship, but who's to say that that relationship is the one that you were supposed to have long term? Who's to say that that relationship was your armor bearer relationship and not your pallbearer relationship? You got to know the difference. You got to know when people are ushering you into your full potential or when people are ushering you into your final resting place. You got to know the difference. And it all ties back to whatever you believe is what will become your reality. It's more than just perception. It's a thought process. It's a thought process. And in that process, we tend not to acknowledge that acceptance really is closure. And at the moment that you decide to release control, the universe will flood you with everything you have manifested. Because again, whatever you think you are, you are. And so you have to decide, will you let it be so or not? Will you let it be the thing that you know that you are, what you have been crafted to be? You are amazing. You are wonderful. You are divine. You are filled. You are whole. You are not broken. You are not in cohabitation with grief. You are not in covenant with lack. Everything that you need is already inside of you, and it's just waiting on you to catch up and quit telling yourself that you don't have enough time. Because what is time? Time is what time is. Time. But at the moment that you decide you are ready for action, just like that. And no, it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean that it is going to be without trial or trepidation. It doesn't mean that it's going to be without strife and that everything is going to be like picking tulips down at the tulip garden. That's not what it means. But it means that you have made up your mind, period. You don't have to justify making up your mind. You don't have to give quantitative and qualitative evaluations for making up your mind. You said what you said. We use that when we want to read people, knowing that we don't even understand complete phonics and conjugations and pronunciation. But you say, I said what I said. Well, say what you said about yourself and let that be so. It's work. But all work is not bad work. And doing that work, making up your mind, allowing it to be so, that looks like exploring past conditions and conditionings and the beliefs that you have about yourself. That looks like diving into the relationship that you have with yourself. That looks like making friends with the parts of you that you have repressed and denied to love. It's not that you were incapable, but there again, you made a decision not to love your ugliness. I know I often refer to some of these street things, but I'm a little ratchet. That's okay. When you decide that you are going to be a trap star, you made up that decision. And as long as you were reaping the benefits of the trap, you embraced it. But as soon as the well dried up, then you didn't love that no more. It's not that you were incapable, because you did it when everything was in alignment with what you said it was going to be. But at the moment that you quit talking, love went away. And why is that? Because we refuse to release control and surrender to the flow of love that will change your life. Doing that work, making that decision, it looks like training your mind not to believe every thought that you think, It looks like training your mind to not inhale others' projections of you. It looks like training yourself to take ownership for your actions, for practicing self-compassion and self-love. And I'm going to just get off track right here. You got to stop letting people tell you what self-love looks like for you. Because here's the thing, whatever allows you to say no to the foolishness of somebody else, that's self-love. That's loving oneself. So if you got to go to the nail shop in order to find your peace, honey, go get your manicure. If you know your nail technician is ratchet, push your cuticles back before you go, but still go. If you got to go to the gun range and let off a couple of rounds because otherwise you know you was going to knock somebody's teeth out, go do that thing that you need to do that helps you say no to other people and yes to yourself. That looks like making a decision. That looks like making a decision. Allowing things to be so looks like reconnecting with your lost parts. It looks like reconnecting with those parts of you that discarded and you continue to pass every time you go down the freeway of your life. When you go revisit your past experiences and that wound seems like it's so fresh and it's gushing blood, it looks like revisiting that thing. And then you got to apply some intentionality there. You've got to give space to your full expression to shine through. See, most of us, we grew up and in the children's church, they sang this little light of mine. I'm gonna look. What happened to that little girl, that little boy, that person that was singing that song? Because you believed it then. You had a light that you was gonna let it shine, shine, shine. But again, emotions, the songwriter said they make you cry sometimes. They didn't say they make you die sometimes. Huh? So what happened? We have to go and revisit that, and we have to ask ourselves the right questions. We have to practice vulnerability and learn how to allow ourselves to be seen for who we really are. Because again, you can't cap when you're capable. You got to let a thing be what it is. Being true to yourself is a part of making a decision, even if it means that a relationship has to end. A lot of people's talking about Harry and how he went hard for Megan. Well, you need proof. There you go. Born into one of the wealthiest ecosystems that there ever was and turned it all away. Why? Because I love a black woman. I don't hear nobody. So breaking the cycle of inherited trauma and believing that you are not responsible for the pain or the shame of your mother or your father. It's allowing yourself to move from the things that you were taught that no longer benefit you, that no longer serve you, and to dive fully into the things that set you free. What am I saying here? In the old school, the people we grew up with, they would say, guide me over, great Jehovah. That don't work for me. I have to cut on some more 3. Everybody ain't your friend. Everybody ain't your partner. And let it be what it is. Because if it's up, then it's up. I can't use the stuff that don't work for me no more. It got me here, but it's not going to get me to where I need to go. And if you allow yourself to be stuck in what was, you will never get to what is so. You have to decide that the weight that you are forcing yourself to carry is not yours, and it never was to begin with. You got to let it go. Release control. And it's asking those right questions, because what really are you trying to have control over? The way somebody else does something and the way you do something are not the same, and they don't have to be. How you arrive at an outcome or a destination and how someone else arrives at an outcome or a destination don't have to be the same when you both end up in the destination that you're supposed to be in. So all of that can really be summed up into one word: resilience. I read a book a couple of days ago, and it said resilience is how you weather the storm of your life and rebound after something difficult. And so it got me to thinking, because my ability to be resilient, my decision to be resilient will impact my acceleration. It will impact my decision making. And again, if you never decide to go, I get that it's hard. I get that it's hard. But it is possible. And that's the part that we miss. It's not that my glass is half full or half empty. It is that my glass is refillable. Possibility exists there. And that might be too much for some people. So it really boils down to hell with what everybody else thinks.
That's it. That's it.
I've got to decide right now that I'm not going to allow myself to get caught in the cycle of what if. What if they don't like me? So? What if they don't agree? So? What if they ask me to compromise? So? Stand boldly in your own authority and decide, because it all comes back to one thing, and that is you. You decide, you decide, you decide. And so again, acceleration is the process where an awakening happens within you, when there's a shift in your consciousness that allows your thinking and your awareness to be separate. Because oftentimes we say, I'm woke, I'm aware, and then you do no action. Woke people activate. They do something. Thinking people sit, and that's what they do. They think. They think, they think, they think. And so when you move again, that shift in your consciousness, and for some of us, it happens, it comes like a rushing wind. And for others of us, it's slow as snails, but it comes, it's a process. And we can't ignore the process, because then that would make us a byproduct of the progress that we were supposed to be having. We stunt our growth when we start looking for shortcuts. And we know if you ain't growing, it's dead. Anything that's not growing is dead. So again, when we allow our consciousness to move, action, decision, doing something, our thinking and our awareness separates. And this creates a posture of relationship within ourselves that requires thinking to now become servant to us being present, our awareness that allows us to do something. Being present in the moment requires that you do something. Smelling the roses requires that you do something. You have to lean in. You have to inhale. And once you inhale, you have to exhale. It's an action. You have to do something. Being present manages most emotions as they arise. It doesn't mean that you are not feeling a thing. It doesn't mean that whatever you have been through, it just gets to be put to the side and, as they say, swept under the carpet. No, you are doing something. You are categorizing your trauma. You are categorizing your pain. You are making subcategories for your triggers. Because again, most of us, I don't know about you, but it's about 6 people living up here. And 5 of them not right.
We're not right. Talk to me.
And I'm okay with that, because I've accepted decision that my mental health is just as important as my physical health. And so if I decide that I'm going horseback riding today, I can also decide that I'm going to go talk to a therapist about why I can't come to church no more.
Talk in here.
And therapists don't mean just somebody that's sitting in an office. You can go and talk to, you can go and get you a shaman. You can go and get you a medicine man because you don't trust the doctors no more. But there's a decision that is taking place. You can go and do something. There's action that is required. Action is required. And again, at the moment that you make up your mind, you decide. There is a universal alignment that takes place, creating space for you to manifest. Because again, whatever you think, so you are. And that's just what it is. Whatever you think, so you are. If you think you can, then you can. And we've had all these parables in our lives, the little engine that could. Trugging along. And there was like a little shift, a little breakdown. Well, that was just a lapse in our thinking. I think I can. Those same principles apply in our adult lives as they did in our childhood lives.
That's good. That's good.
And for some people, it's as simple as getting back to the basics. Getting back to the basics. You use the vice that you know works for you. Some of our vices are unhealthy. When you acknowledge that it's unhealthy, you can get you a healthy one. It's up to you. You know that you need to smoke a joint or 5 in order to relax at night. We're just telling the thing. I know that in order to center myself and ground, I've got to lay out some crystals and get some sun or use the moon and then allow myself to sit in a place of stillness where I can hear. It's still an action. It's a decision that is being made. I know that when I go and I have conversation with the ancestors and I make my petition known unto them, they are going to give me a response. I still have to decide what I'm going to do with that information. And I'm almost through. I told you I wasn't going to be here long. Because everything that you desire begins and ends with you. You are Alpha and Omega. And we look at the way that God steps in. We look at the way that the universe maneuvers. We look at the way that the spirits provide direction. It still begins and ends with you. What am I saying? You decide that you want something different. And then you get to talking. You allow prayer to do what it does. You intercede on your own behalf. Y'all go hard for your girlfriends. Go hard for you. I'm just saying. It begins and ends with you. You decide that you don't want to be in pain anymore. You decide that you don't want to live in lack anymore. You decide that you are ready for the next level, acceleration. And everything in the middle has to do with your decision, with you making up your mind to do a thing. And you get help along the way in the process. Again, you get guidance and direction. You get shown the path. You have to decide if you're going to do it or not. You have to decide if you are going to allow what resonates in you to be activated to move you to your level, your next level of elevation. You decide. And then once you have decided, the thing at the end is still you. You are Alpha and Omega. You are the beginning and the end. You are the decision and the action. You are the choice and the chosen. You get to decide. Because again, whatever you think, so you are. The key is you. The key is you. My fortune cookie last night said, only fools and dead people don't change their minds. Fools won't, and dead people can't. You decide. And so as I leave you today, just do one thing. When you have made up your mind, give yourself permission to say, I have spoken, and let it be so.